should we go ahead? Okay, the fan noise.
The fan, is it with the
This
fan?
is picking up the fan. It's not picking up wind noise, but it's picking up the fan's noise.
Oh, but I'll switch off the fan then.
That will be good actually.
That would be perfect.
I switched the air conditioner off and anyway, I can't use the air conditioner.
No, no, it's all right. When you feel hot, we'll put it on.
We'll put it on again, yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
No, it's okay.
We're ready now? We're ready, fantastic, very nice. Okay. So thank you, General Jacob, for allowing us to take your interview. So we'll start with the formal questions, then you will go on definitely. Why that particular time of the year or December, or why winter was chosen for the final attack or assault?
You see, Manisha phoned me in April, beginning of April, telling me government wanted us to immediately move into Bangladesh. The problem we had then that we were all mountain divisions. We had no bridges. We were not trained for riverine warfare. And the monsoon was about to break. So if we moved into Bangladesh, how far could we have gone? We didn't have the bridging to cross the rivers. We would have got bogged down. The monsoon would have been there and it would have been really a disaster in the sense that we could not have finished it. We wanted to move in when we could ensure complete success. Now that meant us building up, getting the equipment, getting the bridges and waiting for the monsoon to finish so that at least the ground is reasonably dry and we can move. And we felt that we should not move in before 15th of November because that time the ground gets reasonably dry. So we recommended to Manekshaw that we can only move in after 15th of November and provided we get the equipment and bridges. We didn't want to go and get bogged down. We wanted to complete the job.
Yes, yes. Sometimes the war of 1971 is not called as the engineers' war.
It's not true. It's not an engineer's war. The engineer's role is to help the army to move and fight. It is not to fight. It provides the infrastructure. They gave us the bridging and helped us to cross the rivers with the boats. But it was an infantry, artillery and air force war. The engineers are there. They were very good. Without them we couldn't have worked. But it was basically a war of movement, including a paradrop and everything.
What were your main logistic concerns?
See, our problem was logistics. You can't fight a war without logistics. You need to build up the infrastructure. There was no infrastructure in the east. In Agartala, there were no roads. There were one unit was there, one battalion. There was no dumps. There was no hospitals. There was nothing. So we had to build up the infrastructure. We moved 30,000 tons of stores into the Tripura area. 30,000 tons, ammunition, we built hospitals, landing strips, roads. Without that, we couldn't have operated. Similarly, in Tura, we had 7,000 tons of ammunition and stores dumped. And similarly along the other side near Jessore and all that. So we had to build up the infrastructure. And this took place without any orders being received from Army headquarters. This took place on our idea what the plan would be and was continued during the monsoon, was built up and the most difficult period during the monsoon. It meant the railway line to Dharmnagar was to be more than doubled the capacity. So infrastructure was the main thing. Without that infrastructure, we could never have operated.
And there are some interesting stories, written in your book, like it's found solve some of the logistic problems, like you made LMG bridge block near Calcutta,
yes.
And tanks you put some tracks on that.
Yeah.
Elaborate on this point.
Yeah, we had to improvise. Yeah. For instance, I was given trucks without just the bodies. The chassis.
Yeah.
And we'll give you chassis, we can't give you bodies. So I drive these to the vehicle depot in Panagar where old vehicles are there, bolt the old bodies onto the new vehicle. They looked awful, but they worked. I'll give you one example, which I didn't mention in the book, was really classic. The government told me that we don't have any milk powder or tin milk. So how do we move? So when I was a boy, Calcutta, there used to be a Lightfoot ice factory, and I used to cycle past it, and I remember seeing huge blocks of ice. So I said, we'll freeze the milk into ice and put it in bhusa and then transport it.
Yeah.
So that was the improvisation that was there.
Very interesting. Yeah. Who and when actually first coined the term Operation Jackpot?
Jackpot is the term given by Army headquarters.
And it was from the very beginning, this term?
It was given, yes, from the very beginning. You must remember that from the 26th of March, the government told the BSF to assist.
Yes.
And they did. And then we were given, officially, we were given orders to take over, I think, in April, towards the end of April.
Yes.
So we were very much involved from then. But earlier than that, I used to go down to the border, help the refugees. I helped to set the refugee camps up. And as you know, as in the book, we helped to extricate the EBR, East Bengal battalions, and the BSF. So we were involved from the very beginning. And of course, the Bharat and Nala, where the Declaration of Independence was read out. You remember that?
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah. So there was a general feeling among the army that BSF was not capable of handling such an enormous task.
Sorry?
There was a general feeling in the army that time, Indian army, that BSF is not capable of handling such an enormous
See, the
task.
BSF is a paramilitary force. They don't have the equipment. And they were put under the army, and the army was given responsibility in April. So from then I worked out on the operation plan. I made a plan, I sent it to Delhi, and when the orders came, we were shocked to find that when the General Manekshaw came with his Director of Military Operations, the task given to me was to take the entry ports of Khurna and Chittagong. I argued vehemently against it, saying that no war can be complete without taking Dhaka, which is a geostrategical, geopolitical heart of Bangladesh. It was not agreed to. The only thing that was agreed to was to remove one word from the draft they had sent. The draft said that you will weight your main thrust to Khurna. They deleted the word weight. Otherwise, we went to, the orders given to me were only to take Khurna and Chittagong. We planned on our own, you can read in the book, to take Dhaka. We planned a paradrop, we planned a move of brigades on the Chinese border, etc.
So when and how you decided that Dhaka should be the main thrust?
See, you can't win a war. If you want to win a war, you've got to go for the heart. The center of gravity. It is the center of gravity, geopolitical. You take Khurna and Chittagong, what happens? Nothing. Dhaka is still there. So Dhaka is its heart. It is a center of gravity. So you have to capture it. You have to relieve it. So our aim was to take Dhaka. You can't fight for a town. It takes weeks to reduce one town. We knew that Niazi is going to defend the towns. This is a big mistake he made. Had he defended the river lines and the crossings, we could never reach Dhaka. But he put his forces in the towns, and we drew them out to the Mukti Bani was very good in this. They're continuously, the freedom fighters, they are the ones who completely created an aura of fear throughout the Pakistan army. They created an environment where the Pakistan army could not move. So they got stuck to the towns and they couldn't move. They interrupted their communication. Credit must be given to the freedom fighters. They did a magnificent job. And due credit must be, they were young boys, they were courageous, and they were bold, and we must give credit to them. Major credit should go to them.
What were the main dangers and obstacles you were foreseeing in the whole operation?
Sorry?
What are the major dangers and obstacles for your army you were foreseeing?
Basic problems was movement. We had rivers which we had to bridge. Some, the Madhumati and all, there were very wide rivers. And bridging was a problem. Movement and crossings, river crossings were a problem. Movement was a problem. This was a war of movement in the most difficult terrain. With rice paddies, movement was restricted. Even the Kacha tracks, we decided our strategy was, we knew Niazi is going to defend the towns. We knew that Dhaka, we wanted it as a center of gravity objective. Therefore, we bypassed on the Kacha tracks, all these subsidiary tracks. We bypassed the main defenses and main roads and went towards Dhaka. We moved there. It was a war movement. It was assisted by the the freedom fighters who helped us to get there. They helped us.
Thank you. According to you, were the more vantage points for your troops, your forces? What were the advantages of your troops over the Pakistani forces?
See, let's face it, the Pakistani regular army is a very well organized force. They were well equipped and well trained. And wherever they fought with courage. Let me tell you that. Look at Hilli, Asugad, all these other places where they developed, they fought. But we bypassed them. Their generals did not understand war. The generals did, for instance, moving that brigade from Bara Bazar to Sylhet was stupid. It left Dhaka open. So the generals didn't understand war. The troops fought with courage and determination, there's no question about it.
Tell us something about the surrender document and
Sorry, the
surrender document. How
let me give you the political stuff.
Yeah.
You see, basically, the international community was not listening to us. There were so many resolutions. There was, what, do you want to stop?
No, please.
There were so many resolutions.
This particular frame is not clear. This goes up, it looks good.
Oh, sorry.
No, nothing wrong.
Crooked.
Just to make the symmetry.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope that crooked won't happen.
No problem. It's a very, very minor problem.
So shall we start?
Yeah, starting.
What about the surrender document? When and how was it prepared?
Basically, let's face it.
Yeah.
I had no problem. We knew our strategy is going to succeed. On the 13th of December, we were outside Dhaka at small force. But before that, I want to tell you, on the 5th and 6th, there was a Russian resolution.
Yes.
They wanted a political settlement. Bhutto refused to accept it.
Yes.
The Himalaya Rahman report takes him to task for that.
Yes.
Next, there was Bush.
Yes.
He made a statement in the United Nations accusing India of aggression and stopped aid, American aid. Then there was Chinese resolution which didn't come off. Again, there was an American resolution that was vetoed by Russia. Again, Argentine resolution. So the UN, everyone was wanting to stop the war, and had they stopped the war, what would have happened? We would have been nowhere. So now events are moving very fast. We did the paradrop link up, and we were out on the outskirts of Dhaka on the 13th of December at Mirpur.
Yeah.
The Americans, we had a resolution in the United Nations which was vetoed by Russia. The American fleet was moving in the Straits of Malacca. There were messages flying between East and West Pacific. Fight on, and you got one there earlier. Fight on, help is coming, yellow from the north and white from the south. Everyone was worried. Suppose the United Nations orders a withdrawal, what do we do? I was being blamed. This is your strategy. So, I don't know, I was very worried that night. I spoke to Niazi on the wireless, offering him surrender terms. On the 14th, I was lucky, I got an intercept. I was controlling the intercepts. In the morning, I got an intercept that was the meeting in Government House. So, I had it bombed in 2 hours. The governor resigns, goes to Intercontinental. Now what happens? Niazi goes with Farman Ali to Spivak, the American Consul General, in the evening, and gives him the following proposal. This is very important. His proposal was roughly as follows: ceasefire under the UN, hand over the government to UN, withdrawal out under the UN, including ethnic minorities, and no war crimes. I got to know about this through one of my sources. So I informed Delhi, but unfortunately we could not trace the message. It was sent to Islamabad, it wasn't given to us, and given to Bhutto on the 15th in New York. Bhutto outright refuses to accept any ceasefire. He said, rejects it entirely. The Americans give it to us on the 15th. We order a ceasefire. That's all, a ceasefire, nothing more. Now I'll take you to the United Nations. Now I'll take you to the United Nations. 15th evening, Polish resolution. Poland part of the Soviet bloc.
Yes.
15th evening, New York time, our 16th morning. Okay? Our 16th morning.
Yes, yes.
A ceasefire is being rejected by Bhutto. We have accepted it, and we have declared ceasefire on the 15th evening. Manekshaw rings me up on the 16th morning and says, go and get a surrender. So I said, we have sent you a draft surrender document 3 days ago. Do we negotiate on that? So he said, you know what to do, just go. Apparently government had not approved of it. So I left for Dhaka with my draft, which I had sent, my typed draft,
Yeah.
with one staff officer to Dhaka. I was unarmed, and we landed at Dhaka. We were met by the United Nations, Kelly, Mark Henry and all, and they said, we are coming with you to enforce a ceasefire and withdrawal of the Pak army. I said, thank you very much, we don't need your services, thank you, but very kind of you, but we don't need you. So Pak army had sent me a car, Pak army car, and a Pak brigadier. So from the airport, you know, the old airport, not this one, I drove to his headquarters. We hardly got any distance when the Mukti fired at the car and stopped it. The fighting is going on at Dhaka between the Mukti and the Pak army. There's firing going on all over Dhaka. Pakistan army car, they fired at it. So I jumped out and did this. I said, please, they recognized my uniform. That was the cap I was wearing. And they recognized it. And they stopped firing. And I talked to them. They said, no, we're going to attack Niazi's headquarters. I said, there's a ceasefire and Geneva Conventions hold on. Your own government will be in force tomorrow. You will be in power. For God's sake, let me go. So after a lot of talking, they let me go. So I went to Niazi's headquarters. It was read out as I described it in the book. And they said unconditional surrender. Who said we are surrendering? You have only come here to arrange a ceasefire. He had 26,400 troops in Dhaka. And we had some 3,000. All our quote is a Hamidur Rahman report. Not me. He said, they told him, General, when you had 26,400 troops in Dhaka, and the Indians hardly any, and you could have fought on at least for 2 weeks and more. Why did you, and the UN was in session, and had you fought on for even one more day, the Indians would have had to go back. Why did you accept a shameful, unconditional surrender and provide a guard of honor? He said to the commission, I was forced to do it because Jacob blackmailed me into surrendering. This he has repeated in his book, that I threatened to hand them over to Mukti for bayoneting and all sorts of things like that. So basically, he could have fought on. You know, when I went in there and I gave him the terms and he didn't accept it, I said, I give you 30 minutes. I give you 30 minutes. And if you don't accept it, I can't give you any better terms. I guaranteed you will be treated well, that the Geneva Conventions and we'll look after ethnic minorities. I can't give you any better terms. I give you 30 minutes. If you don't, I'll order a resumption of hostilities. And so I walked out and I said, I have nothing in my hand. Suppose he says no. What do I do? Aurora is going to land. What do? I have nothing. Suppose he says no, what do I do? I don't know what to do. I said a short prayer and prayed. The Hamidur Rahman report says, there was Jacob. What do I do? I don't know what to do. I said a short prayer and prayed. The Hamidur Rahman report says, there was Jacob pacing quietly outside, calmly puffing his pipe. They didn't know what I was going through. Anyway, when I went in, I asked him, "Do you accept this document?" 3 times I asked him. He never answered. He never said yes once. So I picked it up and said, "I take it as accepted." It is the only public surrender. I made him surrender on the race course. He wasn't going to do it. I said, "You will do it." He said, "I'll surrender in my office." I said, "No, you will surrender in front of the people of Dhaka who you have mistreated and done so much against." So I made him surrender in public. It's the only public surrender in history, and I made him provide a guard of honor, which he was taken to task for. Why did you provide a guard of honor? And why I made him provide a guard is an old story. In World War II, I landed in Sumatra immediately after the Japanese surrender. The Japanese garrison there, where I landed, provided me a guard of honor. I did not want to inspect it for various reasons, but then I did. Then I said, make him provide a guard of honor. So where in the world has there been an unconditional surrender? I converted a ceasefire. The ceasefire was converted into a surrender in 4.5 hours and signed, the only public surrender in history, and a guard of honor provided by the Pakistan Army. So he surrendered in Dhaka in front of the people, and when we had hardly any troops there, and after he signed the document, which they had brought, which was wrong, it was retyped and sent in Delhi later. When the population of Dhaka who were there wanted to lynch him, they rushed to him, and we had hardly any troops. There were no troops, so we put him in a car and pushed him off. Otherwise, they'd have lynched him. So the war was basically, what we have done is that we had taken 93,000 prisoners, and a ceasefire was converted into a surrender in 4 hours, when he had enough troops to carry on for 2 to 3 weeks. And had he fought on for 1 more day, things would have been quite different, because we would have had to go back. UN was in session. So it was a major awakening. Now I want to give credit to the thing. It was the Indian Army who, in conjunction, basically it was the freedom fighters who performed magnificently. They harassed the Pakistanis, they created an environment of fear and prevented him moving. They locked him up in his garrisons. And it was a major factor in winning the war. It was the young freedom fighters, the young boys of Bangladesh who did so much. Then there was, of course, the EB battalions. They were formed, and then they moved on towards Chittagong. There was the Mukti Fauj, who were from police and paramilitary, who formed bases for us. But there was the naval commanders who did magnificent work. They sunk several ships, craft, and laid mines, and they lost 2 of our boats, Padma and Palas. Yes. That was our own Air Force sank them. Yeah. But they did a magnificent job. The naval commanders, the Navy, and the freedom fighters, the EB battalions did a very good job too. They moved on to Chittagong. But major credit for this must go to the freedom fighters, the sector commanders, and the whole lot. We formed them into squads, companies, who really operated behind the lines and created havoc and really created despair amongst the Pakistan Army. They broke their morale. That was instrumental for us in winning the war. I must give credit to the freedom fighters. And who helped me also, I want to particularly mention Tufail, who helped me with the students to get good boys for the freedom fighters.
What were the first utterance?
Huh?
What were the first utterance? It might be the question, the curiosity of the audience of the film. What were the first utterance between you and Niazi? What you said to him?
No, I went in there. He was sitting down with General Nagra, who knew him from his college days, and he was MA there. They were quite friendly, so they're sitting down on the sofa having a social chat. I've mentioned in my book.
And some jokes, Punjabi jokes.
And I had no conversation with him. I was very polite. I said, "General, these are our terms." I had it read out to him. He said, "This is unconditional surrender." Who said I'm surrendering? You have only come here to discuss withdrawal. That's the only signal I've sent. Withdrawal of Pakistan Army. And ceasefire, nothing more. Who said I'm surrendering? So it was very tense. Then Farman Ali saying that I will not surrender, we will not surrender to a joint command. Who said we're going to surrender a joint command? And there's no question of any surrender, let alone joint command. And this went on. All of them were very hostile atmosphere. So I called Niazi aside and I told him a few things which I don't want to discuss. And I explained the facts of life to him. So then after he agreed later on, he resisted surrendering in public. He said he wanted to surrender in his office, etc. It was very much a matter of touch and go. Very much a matter of touch. God was good to us. We were lucky. We were able to get a surrender under very difficult circumstances. What's that?
Time out for tea.
Tea, for tea.
It's getting cool.
Okay, yeah. We'll have
Sorry,
tea
it's
and
on the
also-
table.
Take a break because
Yeah. It'll
Take
go-
a break.
Put on the fan and.
Moved to Dhaka with our troops. He never moved. He only came out to. He came to the airport to shoot Niazi.
Really?
I've written in the book. What happened? We had no troops in Dhaka. On the road, a parrot jeep with two people. I had to go in Niazi's car. There's no vehicle for me because as Nagaraj pushed off, I asked him to leave a jeep with me. He didn't. So they're jumping on the car and wanting to kill Niazi. I had a lot of problems doing this. Eventually, we reached the airport. And when I reached the airport, I had picked up two para boys on the road in a jeep. So I took them with me. That's the only Indian army we had. Oh, are you filming? Oh, no.
Okay, don't.
Without telling me, don't.
Yeah, sorry. Take a cup of tea.
Anyway, doing us, picking up the airdrop, what did he do in the war?
You're right. And he got immense arms. He first got the ship of arms to the Pakistan army, something got stuck up in the Jamuna, and then you give 20,000 rifles or something. And then we never know about what happened.
I don't know. I have a hunch which, that's why I didn't want,
Yeah.
I didn't want that.
Yeah,
on.
no, go,
Please.
Okay.
Please, that's very naughty of you. Never do that.
No, don't put it off.
Never take films when.
Not without permission.
That wasn't recorded.
That doesn't record.
Yeah, but
Check the tape.
No problem.
You are just testing it. You are trying to.
No, you can check the tape.
please, that's unethical.
Unethical.
If you would like to check it.
You know, I did this one day. There was a woman journalist. I don't want to mention her name. She finished the interview and she said, so now you can talk informally. And I did. And then I looked and I found a red light on. She was recording. So after, never do that.
No. It's unethical. No problem. But I have two more questions that we'll do formally after the is over.
I don't know what his aim was. I never knew what Siddiqui's agenda was.
Actually, these military Bangladeshi commanders, they all become very ambitious.
But what
at
is
the
he
end.
now? Is he a hero or
Yeah,
not?
had become very ambitious at the end, and others became ambitious. And they thought that
Can we have the fan on?
Yeah,
Gautam?
please. No problem. We're not recording. Just fine.
He's the one who asked for it to
No,
be
then
off.
we can put it off again. Thank you.
Should I record this or not?
Now we can start,
Okay.
but don't do the other one.
Okay.
Oh, you want to off, you can take it away. Now you want to ask me about Siddiqui, I'll give you, but not saying that you want to take the country over. Survivor, I'm alone. Let's talk about Bangladesh. Now come on. Now you can record about Siddiqui. What else you want to?
Yeah.
Whatever you want.
So your hair. Here. If you can.
My hair is going bad. Huh?
That will look fantastic.
Yeah,
You do very good in the camera.
Okay.
Okay, General. We came to that very interesting part of your discussion with Niazi, very tense moment. After that, we must have some informal talks with the Pakistani high brass, where they were repentant about their sins, or where they were acknowledged that they did the genocide or the bad things in Bengalis.
No. I interrogated all the generals in Fort William about 2 weeks after the war. They came to Fort William. I interrogated Niazi and all their generals.
Yeah.
And one thing was there throughout. There was no resentment. They think that we did wrong in liberating, helping to liberate. That we did wrong, we should not have intervened. And they were quite capable of running by Bangladesh, and we made a mistake and we would regret it. This is what they told me. And then they turned around, every one of them, okay, you've done this to us. We'll get our revenge. We'll come back to you. We'll get our own back. Every single one of them told me this. from Niazi or his generals.
Just arrogance.
They didn't feel. And in fact, when I was debriefing them in the ops room,
Yes.
on their operation, and the map said Bangladesh on top, said, "You're already calling it Bangladesh," and things like that. So they were very resentful, and they said, quite frankly, that they would get even.
I don't know whether this question is all right for you to answer, free to answer.
Huh?
But, military corps or military forces always commanded by, ultimately by civilian government, by India, as is the Indian being
Yeah.
democracy. How you evaluate the overall performance of Indian civil government actors, especially in the
Mrs.
How she handled the situation?
Mrs. Gandhi was terrific. She had guts. She took a decision. She showed courage. She never wavered. She stood up to Nixon. She stood up to the United Nations. And she did a masterstroke in diplomacy in getting this Indo-Soviet treaty, friendship treaty signed. Because once that was signed, it ensured that the Chinese could not and would not intervene. Because the Russians had signed this treaty with us, and I am told that they removed a large number of divisions towards the Xinjiang border, ensure that the Chinese would not intervene. It was a masterstroke of Mrs. Gandhi's part. I think throughout the political, shall I say, the establishment took the advice of the army. They took Manekshaw's advice when he told them they can't move in, and I think also they took his advice on his strategy that they should take Khulna and thing. The objectives were selected by Manekshaw, not by Mrs. Gandhi.
What is your view about the Bangladesh government that was formed there, especially persons like Tajuddin Ahmed?
I was very close to them. I was very, and I had the highest opinion of Tajuddin. He was a wonderful person. He was pragmatic. He had the interests of Bangladesh from beginning to end. Nazrul Islam was the same way. Kamal Zalan, Mansoor Ali. I worked with them all. They were all dedicated Peting. Usmani, who was the chief, was dedicated. We did not agree on many items of strategy and tactics and stuff like that, but he was a dedicated soldier to the cause of the freedom of Bangladesh. Khonkar was exceptional. He was very intelligent and he was quick to uptake, and he helped me considerably.
Yeah, actually, there is a lot of, in these days, a lot of researches are being made in Bangladesh, and Tajuddin Ahmed is really been brought into new light, that he was the key person.
He was. I can tell you, I had continuous talks with Tajuddin, for instance, on strategy, on the Mukti. He agreed with me on the Mukti, the freedom fighters. He did not agree with Usmani. I don't want to go into all that. And he supported me.
Yes,
And I, of course, did everything I could for him. And Nazrul Islam was another fine person.
yes. Why do you think that, you have told me from Ali, but I think you have told me also, that why some section of Bangladeshi, Bengali, ex-military officers from Pakistan Army revolted? Why instead of guerrilla war, they prefer conventional war? Is it a Pakistani mindset?
See, Usmani was trained in the Pakistan Army,
Yes.
and he wanted to model, he told me this himself, he wanted to model his battalions on the old Pakistan Army battalions because he was familiar with that organization. I tried to explain him that Bangladesh terrain is quite different from that in the Punjab, and any organization take into consideration riverine warfare and things like that, movement. It's quite different but he was very, shall I say, dedicated to his own organization, of the old organizations he worked with.
Any memorable incident that you always want to cherish about 19? We're coming close to the interview now. You remember some incidents, some anecdotes you'd like to tell, pass on to the next generations?
Well, initial movement extricating the East Bengal battalions and the BSF, they moved in. And I went in with my staff officer, Captain Sandhu, and we tried to reorganize the withdrawal of the East Bengal battalions,
Yes.
and also the BSF. Tajuddin was holding a meeting in the customs house there.
Yeah.
So, with Griffiths, I think his name was Griffith MP. So, the Pakistan was shelling, shells were falling all around, and I went round with Sandy trying to put a cordon around the place where Tajuddin, and I was very worried about his security.
Yes.
I put one of the machine guns of the CB battalions. I looked at it, and I said, "What is your arc?" Then he said, "Sir, no use. I have no ammunition." I never forget that. Eventually, we got Tajuddin out, and then I had a machine gun from 7 Punjab, which I deployed on the bun, pointed at the flag. When the Pakistanis approached, I told them that flag will never come down. Anyone approaches it, shoot. So that flag flew throughout the operations, was never taken down. Anytime Pakistanis approached it, we fired from our side. That was one incident, and the other was Boira. Boira, when we destroyed 14 tanks.
Bora, yes.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, that was
Anyway, I don't want to go into too many details.
Yeah, I understand.
This 22nd November, and I saw Niazi trying to line up his tanks through my binoculars, and I had with them. I sighted those guns, and when they came within 500 yards, we railed at them. We destroyed 14 tanks and a lot of them.
Yeah, that's a really
That was another incident I'll always remember. And the other one was, of course, at Dhaka, the Mukti freedom fighters stopping me firing, and the argument we had, they wouldn't let me go, they wanted to, and of course, the actual Niazi and the surrender discussions and negotiations. These will stand out in my memory. But the most thing will stand out in my memory is the spirit and dedication and guts of the young freedom boys fighters. As I told you, 25 youth camps we set up. From there we took them into our camps. I don't know, you know all that.
Yes.
So we took them, and they were really, performance was magnificent. And what they did, courage, I will always remember, it was they who laid the foundations and did everything for the liberation of Bangladesh, and we should give them due credit.
Thank you very much. I think formally we are almost finished, but okay. And there is some curiosity in Bangladesh about the final withdrawal of your troops.
Oh yeah, I spent one day with Mujib.
Yeah.
I can't remember the place. There were the room we were in. I spent the whole day. There were no chairs. There were mattresses on the floor. There were 3 or 4 phones. I spent the whole day with him. Tafal, I think, took me there, and he wasn't there for the meeting, and I spent a day with him, and he was issuing orders to his DCs, and he was very human, and he kept on telling me, General Sahab, I love my people love me. And he was really very dedicated to his cause of Bangladesh. I remember him, yes, I do remember that. That I had told him, he kept on telling me, why don't you stay on? I said, we have finished. Your own people are in control, your own government are very efficient, you don't need us. So he said, no. I said, and anyway, fortunately, he permitted us to leave, because there was nothing for us to do.
Yes.
Your own Jap, we never, you see, unlike the Americans like Bremer, there's a chapter in work. We had a complete government in place 3 months before, with Bangladeshis, civil service, post, Anas. The day the war finished, we moved them in. They took over the country. There was no need for us. We were wanting to go earlier. I wanted the troops to be withdrawn in January, February. But we had to stay on. Mujib insisted on us staying on. And our role didn't end there. You may be aware, we sent a brigade into the Chittagong hill tracts afterwards to build posts for the Bangladesh Army, the Rangers.
What was the general atmosphere, ambience in Fort William that time? When you started to become jubilant that you will win the war, When was it? When the end of November or first week of December? When?
Well,
less tense?
had no doubt that we were going to win the war. I had planned for 3 weeks maximum.
Yes.
We finished in 13 days. I planned. I had stock for 1 month supplies. I planned for a war to a maximum 3 weeks. We finished in 13 days. I had no doubt.
You had no doubt.
I had no doubt. You see, the main thing was this, that we knew what the situation in interior was. We knew that the Pakistan army morale is finished. We knew because of the freedom fighters. We knew all that. And our paradrop worked well, everything worked well. And Niazi morale broke. The Pakistan army, not the army, his morale broke. I don't know, he acceded to the terms of surrender, which, as you have pointed out.
Yeah.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you just tell, you have said everything about the war and what happened, about the surrender and everything, but it's 13 days war. Exactly, can you just say a little bit details about the war situation, like what happened, how Indian army went there, and what happened exactly?
You see, basically, our strategy was Dhaka was the main objective. So subsidiary objectives are communication centers and centers of communication centers and command and control. So we selected them like Magura and all where Farid, I wanted to go that way, Bogra, Chandpur.
Yes.
When I spoke to Niazi, he told me that when Chandpur fell, I knew the war was over. That's what he told me. When Chandpur fell, I knew the war was over. So, for instance, the strategy, I changed it from Freni. We went cross country. There was no road. We built it to go to Chandpur. We bypassed everything, Laksham, Chaudagam, Laksham, all the way.
Yes.
You know the way.
Yes, of course.
So it was really a war movement. I had no doubt, because the main thing was, I was happy that the logistics had been built up. The ammunition, everything, bridges, everyone was in place. So nothing I felt would go wrong, because we had planned. It was the Pakistan War College. Have you read the report?
No, I haven't got that.
Just can you bring that table? I want you to read it.
Yeah, that should be.
This is the Pakistan, not mine.
Yeah.
It's there. Bring it, please.
Yeah.
Turn to page 301.
Yeah, that'd be nice to.
It's not me. It's Pakistan War College. 301. Top of 301. You want me to read it or do you
Yeah,
read
you
it?
can. That should be fine.
Yeah, nice.
Nice.
If you are PDF paper or something, yeah.
This is an extract from the Pakistan War College report on the war from Suja Nawaz's books, Cross Swords. I read, in the words of a later Pakistan National Defense College study of the war, quote, the Indians planned and executed their offensive against East Pakistan in a textbook manner. It was a classic example of thorough planning, minute coordination, and bold execution. The credit clearly goes to General Jacob's meticulous preparations in the Eastern Command.
Fantastic. They themselves, your enemies have appreciated you. I think it was just one thing. I think it was. Yeah.
So if you can hold it from below so that the entire cover comes here.
This is not me, it's Pakistan War College report.
Oh, sorry, but yeah.
And they know who did what.
Yeah, exactly. We'll take it later.
It was a very well planned campaign. It's studied worldwide. This book of mine has been translated into Chinese,
Yes, Bengali. Of course.
Bengali?
I'm hearing it all the time. Yes.
Bengali, Arabic, Persian, Thai, and other languages too. I don't know. It's very pirated edition. I don't know.
Fantastic. And
That's
when
a-
actually people started making the plan, final, it was from the April or
I made the plan in May.
in May?
I made the plan in May. I sent it in May, but it was modified by Manekshaw. Manekshaw had his own, shall I say, idea of what the war should be, and he gave us orders in August to capture the entry ports. Khurna and Chittagong, both are close to the borders, east border. And
I
territory,
think
the aim apparently was to set up a government, territory for government in exile.
You have written in your book, but maybe the audience won't be knowing, that at one stage you really decided it should be Dhaka. And when exactly it was that Dhaka should be the
Plan was made in May.
May. That should
I'd sent to them in May.
May.
I sent it by hand. There's a handwritten one.
Why do you think that it is General in Jassore, the Pakistan Army General in Jassore, in the brigadiers, Hayat, I guess, why the Jassore cantonment they left so easily? I mean, why did
I don't know why they think. I have two. I do not understand why they evacuated Jassore and moved to Khurna. Perhaps they thought they would go to Pakistan by sea from there. But the troops went to Khurna.
Yes. And then it was very
So I don't understand. When I asked, for instance, the Baira Bazaar Brigade, when that moved to Sylhet,
Yeah.
I asked the general, why did you send it? He said, I wanted to make sure you wouldn't take Sylhet. I said, we had no intention of capturing it, we bypassed it. And they locked up 6 battalions there, doing nothing.
I think they were bad generals, bad officers.
I've quoted in the book.
Yeah, that was that.
Then I see the Bengali edition. No, I
Yeah,
haven't
please.
seen it.
If I knew, I could have brought a fresh one. This one with a lot of marks on it. My paper.
No,
my
that's
pen marks.
okay.
But you can have it if you want.
No, it's okay. It doesn't have the maps and all, and the big map in the.
But the English version has all the maps. Yes.
Yeah, that's okay.
But with the print and everything is fine. It's a very presentable book. But
Yeah,
the
it's okay.
Even the translation is all right. I checked
No,
it
I
for
haven't.
English.
I'm not a great scholar.
Can you please hold the book?
I can hold it.
Yeah, the-
Yes, certainly.
Just to take a photo. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And just one question.
This is the.
Yeah.
This is the watch. This is the watch that was in the photograph. This is the cap and stick. You can take that separately.
Okay. That's fantastic. And then one more small question. There is a lot of discussions in Bangladesh, I think mostly politically motivated for us, that why General Usmani was not present in that.
Oh, that I got tired of answering.
Yeah.
I had given instructions before I left that he would be there, plus, of course, Khanka, he was there. What happened? I don't know why. He knew about the surrender. His message was sent to him.
Yeah.
A helicopter was sent to him to take him. Apparently, it was hit by fire. I don't know why he didn't come. Honestly, we did everything to get him there. We sent a helicopter for him. And this is all, it's not nice to hear that we stopped. Why should I stop him being there? When Khanka was there,
Yes.
if Khanka was there, why shouldn't he be there?
Yeah. It would have been nice to see in the photos that he's there.
Yeah, but it's not our fault.
I know. Yeah.
It's not our fault. We had nothing. We sent him a helicopter. And he knew it was coming. He knew the day before. I don't know why he didn't come.
Yeah, he's weird sometimes. He's trying to on his own way. Yeah, it's finished.
Oh, finished.
No.
Yeah, almost finished.
Wires beginning to show.
And
Oh.
then, formally we are more or less finished, that's informally if you want to. Do you have anything to say to people of Bangladesh now? Or
Slowly?
you want to say anything to people of Bangladesh now?
No, I would like to say something. We, Bangladesh and India, we are neighbors. We are interdependent. We fought a war together. it is in our own interest that both countries prosper and both countries increase their economic and trade and relations. I want to see far better, closer relations between India and Bangladesh, more economic relations, so that those countries can prosper. I wish Bangladesh well. Bangladesh, I wish, will prosper and rise to even greater heights. God bless you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was nice finishing. I think we have covered more or less, and your books will help me a lot to write the narration. Thank you to make you talk so long. একটু ফ্যানটা ছিল না?
Yeah.
And to make it still ছবি তুলে না আমাদের দুজন পরে মহাদেব ছবি। Then we'll take it separate short.
You can take this
Yeah,
cap.
we'll take it.
We'll take it. Well, informally, we'll do. একটা organize করে নিন and then one.
This also, this is the watch. That's in the picture. Oh, Man Singh, just ring that bell. Yeah, that's a cowbell. Just ring it.
Get out.
One pen and one steel.
No, Allah, we take the Allah.
Oh, picture, Bangladesh picture now.
Separately of the items. and
Bangladesh
then one.
wala, bada wala, surrender.
Your feet are in the back.
Sorry, no, I'm moving.
Sorry.
No problem. What are you
You want, this is a picture you don't have. This is Mrs. Aurora inside.
Oh, this is a very good picture. Actually.
This is a color one.
We'll take that separately. Yeah.
So, Sita Karo, however you want
no,
it.
he's composing it. Don't worry.
No, it's crooked. You're taking it crooked.
No, he'll frame it properly. From here he can frame it.
You can straighten it.
Would you like it to be taken straight now?
Yeah.
I'll get the reflection from the window.
Okay, that's the problem.
थोड़ा सा
It's a very good photo. You were so young and handsome that time. You're
थोड़ा सा नहीं
You seen me in the clip.
You still look very pretty. There's but there's a smile there as well.
You know the clip. Mrs. Aurora's there. You see her?
Mrs. Aurora, yeah.
Yes.
See, there is a shot of car.
She was trying to get into the table. I had to push her back.
Yeah, she has nothing in the table.
So
But she was in the car.
it's you signing the.
You can see the watch. The time is given. There's the same watch
Oh.
and the stick
Yeah. Even the stick also there.
and the cap. Same cap. Khonka is there. So if I take Khonka there, why shouldn't I take Osmani?
Yeah, of course. No, I know. We all know that it is Stony stupidity that you want to select or a strange reason.
I
that the
have a
helicopter-
feeling.
the helicopter was
Now
shot.
you're not recording. I have a feeling he didn't want to come. I don't know why. We had the helicopter. I don't know. There were a lot of he knew well a day in advance.
Yeah.
He knew on the 15th.
Yeah.
It was announced on the radio. Everybody we had told him.
There is something problem with mindset. And there
He had
Where
a-
was he at that time?
Huh?
Where was he? He was in
Sylhet.
Sylhet.
Oh, in Sylhet.
You see, he went to Sylhet because he said, "This is my hometown. I don't want to go anywhere else." I wanted him to operate from Tura down. He didn't want to. He took his troops away too. I couldn't veto it. He kept pinching on my young boys from the freedom fighters and to make up his battalions.
See, this will be the inserts of the long interview. Take
And
separate,
we didn't talk about
You
it,
can
but
take one
I know,
comment.
but this General Aurora, he took all the kudos, of course, and
Oh, let
only
it be.
we
I don't
know-
want to talk.
Yeah, we know the background that how much you did achieve stuff and all. But
Anyway, less said about
Yeah.
it. But
I'd like to make two small points. This
Yeah.
is not part of General Jacob's interview, but is related to your questions,
Yes,
which of course the General has answered.
yes.
But one is, shall I say, maybe, no, I'm not part. One is perhaps slightly significant and one is trivial. Nevertheless, I'll state both. The slightly significant one, answer to your question, why did the Jessore garrison fall back on Tulna,
Yes,
is I think very well given in something you can find on the internet
yes,
by a person, a Pakistani army officer,
yes.
with an analysis written by somebody called Aga Humayun Amin.
Absolutely.
So sometime if you feel like
I will.
researching,
this is
pay attention.
the real thing. Yeah.
A.H. Amin, you may like to research.
Yes.
Right? A.H. Amin on his analysis of
Yes.
this.
Yes.
The second
Just one
is,
second. Just come on.
Yeah, yeah, please. Should you release you with this one?
Oh, yes, take it off.
I take it over.
I finished, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Qayyum was wearing my hat.
Yeah, he's wearing and he's so proud of you. He showed me, he called me, he said, Tanvir, you know what I've got? General Jacob has given me his hat and he's showing everybody.
He accepted our recommendation and he gave us an order which we were not recording.
No, we're not recording.
Which we didn't implement. We ignored.
Yes.
Then we declared when we were outside Dhaka, he tells us to go back.
Mm.
And that's in the book.
That's very strange.
On the
Everybody
13th.
understand Dhaka is the key.
He tells us to go back, not capture Dhaka.
Mm.
That's on the 13th. And I've done it in the book. It's in the book. I don't want to.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
He, Manish had different idea on war, so we had different ideas. No things.
Bangladesh happened. He was a Pakistan army.
This you got.
Oh, we've got it. We've got
But
it.
he was a Bengali, Bengali student. And he was very much there.
Monju, General Monju, General Monju. I can find it out.
No, no,
There
I'm
were some
serious.
commando majors, Vijay
He was
Major
a-
Monju.
He was a captain on that day.
Captain.
Because I was there, I saw him, I met him.
No idea. No. I can find out who the army officer was there.
Because he was very prominently dressed in SSG uniform. He was the only one in Pakistani SSG uniform on that.
I had 2 days with the editor of that paper, Bengali paper.
Moti Rahman.
Oh,
Moti Rahman.
Prothamala.
Yeah, Prothamala, name of the paper.
he's
Prothamala.
publishing in. It took 6 hours tapes. I don't know.
Yeah, 6 hours interview of you.
He was there.
Yes, in Dhaka?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
He said publishing in December.
Yeah, I think they are very efficient. Newspaper.
No, he's a nice guy. I like him. Very sincere.
Very sincere, yes.
When
6
is your movie coming out?
I think by middle of next year. And the
But
moment
I hope you send it here also.
Of course.
With English subtitles.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah, definitely,
You will get one of the first person you will get a copy. And I'm sure when it's done, we'll have a nice show in
Delhi on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yesterday I just showed one of my film in JNU University, and it went fine. A lot of people came.
Will you be interviewing other generals who were there?
No,
also?
actually, I don't know who is alive. Is Sagut Singh is
Not worth it.
Not worth
Then
it.
nobody took a major role.
No, yes. So that's why I thought, I had it been nice to have Danisha because he was
Yeah, of course.
named by the Salim.
You see, basically, I'm not trying to boast.
Yeah.
I planned that war. I laid on the logistics.
That created a lot of problem in Bangladesh later.
I was very close to Tajuddin. We
Yeah.
were very good friends. Tajuddin and Nazrul Islam, these two I got on well with. Nazrul Islam, what's happened to him? He did.
Nazrul Islam, they have been killed, all
Huh?
4 of them. Tajuddin, Nazrul Islam,
They are shot. They are shot.
Both of them were shot.
Within 6 months. 6 months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 years.
3
After
years.
75, after Mujib was
After
killed,
Mujib
they
was
shot
killed,
him.
then they were
Shot
Kamar
for
Hussain,
him.
Mansoor
Yeah,
Ali.
he's there. Kamal Hussain is there. still.
Yeah, give him my regards.
Oh, sure, I will. He's very happy. And Mansoor Ali has been killed. And
Is he still there?
No,
All of them were killed in the jail.
inside the jail, and that is the most tragic part of Bangladesh history.
And Tufail, of course. As far as I was concerned, they didn't tell me, but I found out. I'm running a damn war and they don't tell me.
Yeah, that was.
No, that's
was
not
silly.
fair.
That was silly.
I was not recording.
No. This is recording
And
there.
then finally, what is good that the end went well. Finally, the
I'll tell
victory
you
was.
what, I don't know, I did my duty. More or less, I don't know. I did my duty as God gave me strength to do. That's all. I know what happened on that 16th of December in Niazi's headquarters when I paced outside and I said, God, suppose he doesn't agree. What do? I have nothing in my hand. Nothing. I can do nothing.
The soldiers were still away, troops are outside, quite away.
You
from
know the headquarters, there's the road and there's the mess.
So could they arrest you also?
Sorry?
At that time, could the Pakistani army arrest you?
Yes, I was alone
They could have
there.
been killed.
We had no troops in Dhaka. They had 26,400. What do I do?
In Dhaka.
Yes, 26,000. That's not my figures. Hemad Rahman
Yes,
report.
yes. But
Mine
he
was
went inside the
25,000.
lion's den alone, almost.
Mine was 25,000. My estimate. Niazi told me 30, but the Hemad Rahman report says 26,400. My estimate was 25. Niazi estimate, he told me he had 30. and the commission report says 26,000 for
Very courageous man. Yeah, very courageous.
Oh, what courageous. Had I failed, what would happen? We'd all been captured. And the UN was in session, they'd ordered a withdrawal, we'd have been prisoners of war. It's not funny.
So that's what Niazi said that Jacob had loved me. Maybe.
He's put it in his book also.
Was that photograph was seen very prominently in the background?
That's the Bangladesh part over there.
It was, but I don't think I paid attention.
Not Bangladesh, sorry, Kolkata part. But this is freedom fighters gave me his treasure.
we have taken
It is treasure.
With the second you mean out it because you don't normally take room, but this way.
It is my treasure.
And then tight and then then you can fit the latest. We won't take any long. Yeah, we are almost through.
So, young man,
Yeah, no, I'm not that young. I'm getting old. But yeah, it's a great.
So what did you do? The Pakistan army got really threatened. Like, what was the action like?
Sorry?
I'm thinking about what was the action you did which the Pakistan army got really threatened? Like,
I don't know.
Is the air
I
thing or-
threatened
Maybe his
them.
confidence.
I didn't want to go into all this.
Yeah.
I told them, look, General, you surrender. I promise you, I give you my word, and the word of the government of India, which I don't know who would support me, that we look after all ethnic minorities, we protect you, your families, we protect you, be treated with respect as soldiers should under the Geneva Convention. I put it in.
Yes.
Because I tell you, I put in it, and if you do, then I said, and I will order the resumption of hostilities and the bombing of your headquarters, and I walked out.
That was probably what influenced their mind
And that's all I told them.
to a very great extent.
I had to, I tell you, I don't know, I didn't know, I had nothing to back me up with. I said bluff.
No, you didn't have anything to back you up with at that point in Dhaka at the time.
But I'll not forget that. And Gavin Young, then I didn't want to mention about the lunch. Niazi had invited me, and the only orders I got are written in the book that government approves General Jacob having lunch with Niazi. That's the only approval I had. Nothing about the surrender. When I went, I changed heading.
You didn't have any mind. Why you are so modest?
See, I've been working with shape charges in the anti-tank. So I knew it was a shape charge, and we got it designed and made. So I knew what was happening.
Fantastic. Because they really created a lot of ships that they were, and then
They want some.
this enable.
My thing is, the sector commanders are very good, all of them. They were on Air Force shop. What happened to them?
This Sultan Ahmed. Sultan Mahmud. Ek Khamdokar was there.
Which something? I got it.
N.K.
Bashar,
Bashar. N.K.
Bashar.
Bashar.
Can I get that white piece
I
of
think
paper?
Bashar was there.
There's Khalid Musharraf.
Not the whole,
Yeah,
not the whole one. There's a one sheet of paper
Yeah.
on top.
Yeah. There was Bashar, Sultan Ahmed.
I give you the
N.K.
names. in the
Khandokar.
one. Sorry.
Yeah.
I jotted the names down. I don't remember the names. There was Zia Chidigal, Khalid Musharraf Kumela, Zaman Rajshai, Usman Kushtia, Saifullah Maiman Singh, Wing Commander Bashar.
Wing Commander
Bashar.
He was killed in a plane accident, unfortunately. Very sad. Yeah,
Wing
it was a
Commander
big loss. that we
Major
lost.
Jalil, he was with him.
Yeah.
Siddiqui at Tiger. And Nurul Kada and Toha, I don't know much about them, these two people. Nurul Koda and Toha.
Oh, Muhammad Toha was a left-wing leader.
I didn't have much contact with them.
And then Nurul Kadir Khan. He was the district commissioner of Pabna.
Yeah,
but
he
was
did
a
a lot.
freedom fighter.
I didn't have much contact with him.
Yeah. He died actually, unfortunately. He died. Nurul Kadir Khan died. And,
Okay.
yes. But you know all the names.
Can you please keep your hand here? Because you're talking, you keep your hand here.
Yeah,
So I will talk with you later.
Yeah, we can just talk about it.
So-
So you remember, I regret that you remember those names actually. It's
Yeah. Because it's so many years now. I was very much, from Theatre Road. Another thing I will always remember, Osmani, you living in a room in Theatre Road.
Yeah.
You slept on a camp bed. So I asked him why. He said, I want to feel, I'm in the field. I said, Osmani, you're living in a bungalow. Why camp bed?
In fact, we have shot that Theatre Road house also where they used to.
Yeah.
8 Theatre Road.
Yeah, Theatre Road, yeah.
They were shot there.
I selected it.
Yes, I did. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a big house, big garden.
But he has taken the interview of what's his name? That short leg BSF person. What's his name? Mr.
Golak Mazumdar.
Yeah.
We have interviewed.
Very fine man.
Yeah, yeah.
I gave the only police officer I gave an army medal.
Really?
AVSF. I got. Is he alive now?
Yeah, he's
alive.
alive.
Does he remember me?
Yeah, of course,
sure,
of course,
sure,
of course.
sure.
He has spoken about you in the
Yes,
interview.
yes.
Huh?
He has spoken about you in the interview.
In that way.
When you
Yes,
interviewed him,
yes.
he has mentioned about you.
So actually, we originally wanted to interview Sundaramji, Rustamji, but he was no longer there. So
Sundarji?
I missed him there. No,
He had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, nothing to do with it. Then I heard that.
Sundarji was in DGS sitting in Siddhupur.
Mr. Goluminder was in touch with Tajuddin and all these people.
Golak and I worked together. I don't think he mentioned you that.
Yeah, he did.
I gave him a medal.
Oh, you are modest
I
not to
got no
mention
trouble.
that. He did mention. He's a very nice man. I should have known that before.
I gave AVSM and so Rustamji objected, who are you to give him a medal? He's BSF. I said, we would have given him. I said, what would you give him? I said, Padma Shri does give it to actors. He's the only one. And I got into trouble from the army. I slipped it through. They didn't see it. He recognizes that.
Yeah.
That he worked with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
He
He did
mentioned
mention
a lot about you.
mention
about
about you.
Williams and
Huh?
everything. Yeah.
You're a good man.
So why did you always get this courage to be little offbeat and not follow the copy?
I can tell you, I always in trouble in the army. I resigned twice, I'm telling you the truth. I was always in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't know how I survived. I was always in trouble.
No.
What was your rank at that time during the war?
Major General, Chief of Staff.
Chief of Staff is
Well, I was responsible for the planning, operations,
Okay.
of plans.
everything. And I was delegated all the parts. Manishwar dealt with me.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's a nice shot.
Yeah, fine, very fine.
ये थोड़ा सा साइड होना.
आ जाओ आप बैक साइड है बुला तो लो और ले जाएंगे और ले जाएंगे आपकी बढ़िया बना पार्टी ले जा रहे गरीब आदमी ₹50 का 50 रुपये का